Well, hello and welcome to News Hour on Voice of the People TV. I am Vivian Oguche. Before we begin the news, kindly visit our website www.vop.ng for fresh and trending news. Here are the headlines. CBN maintains lending rate at 27.5%. President Tinubu holds talks with economic team. Senate approves Tinubu's $21 billion foreign loan. And reps urge U.S. to restore 5-year multiple visa. Natasha to meet legal team and seek court clarification after. And Atiku condemns Okpebholo'S threat to Obi. On the foreign scene, 33 die of malnutrition in Gaza in 48 hours. In business news, NCAA orders airlines to enforce $10,000 cash declaration. And in sports news, Nigeria beats South Africa 2-1 in WAFCON semi-finals. And in the world of entertainment, Davido tops Spotify's media Nigerian chart. Now the news in detail. The Central Bank of Nigeria has once again retained its key lending rate, the monetary policy rate, as 27.5%. CBN Governor Yemi Cardoso announced the decision in Abuja following the 301st meeting of the Monetary Policy Committee. Cardoso said all 12 members of the MPC voted unanimously to maintain all key monetary parameters. As a result, the committee retained the cash reserve ratio at 50% for deposit money banks and 16% for merchant banks. The liquidity ratio remains at 30%, while the asymmetric corridor was held at plus 500 and minus 100 basis points around the MPR. Now, this marks the third consecutive time the Apex Bank has maintained the interest rate at 27.5% following similar decisions in February and May.
News editors, the press. The Monetary Policy Committee, MPC, of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, held its 301st meeting on July 21st and 22nd, 2025, to review recent economic and financial developments and the outlook. All 12 members of the committee were in attendance. Decision of the MPC. The committee decided to maintain the current monetary policy stance and hold all policy parameters constant as follows. 1, retain the monetary policy rate, MPR, at 27.50%. 2, maintain the asymmetric corridor around the MPR at plus 500 to minus 100 basis points. 3, retain the cash reserve ratio, CRR, for deposit money banks at 50% and for merchant banks at 16%. And 4, keep the liquidity ratio unchanged at 30%. The decision was premised on the need to sustain the momentum of disinflation and sufficiently contain price pressures. Maintaining the current policy stance will continue to address the existing and emerging inflationary pressure. The MPC will continue to undertake rigorous assessment of economic conditions, price development, and outlook to inform future policy decisions.
Well, in the meantime, President Bola Tinubu has held a closed-door meeting with key members of his economic and fiscal policy team at the State House in Abuja. In attendance were the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, the Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Senator Atiku Bagudu, and the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Gas, Okpebholo'S. Also present were the Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Olayemi Cardoso, Executive Chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, Zach Adedeji, and the Director General and Global Liaison for the Nigeria-China Strategic Partnership, Joseph Tebe. And away from that report now, Vice President Kashim Shettima has expressed concerns over the data and information gap between the National Bureau of Statistics, states, and local government areas. He made the remarks at the 2025 workshop of the Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers held in Abuja. The Vice President was represented by Okpebholo'S, Special Advisor to the President on Economic Matters. Reacting to the recently released rebased gross domestic product figures, which showed a 3.13% growth, Vice President Shettima questioned whether the data accurately reflects the true state of the Nigerian economy. And moving on, the Senate has approved President Bola Tinubu's external borrowing plan of over $21 billion for the 2025-2026 fiscal cycle, paving the way for full implementation of the 2025 Appropriation Act. The comprehensive borrowing package includes $21.19 billion in direct foreign loans, 4 billion euros, 15 billion yen, a $65 million grant, and domestic borrowing through government bonds totaling approximately 757 billion naira. Also included is a provision to raise up to $2 billion through a foreign currency denominated instrument in the domestic market. The approval followed the presentation of a report by the chairman of the Senate Committee on Local and Foreign Debt, Senator Aliyu Wamako. He noted that the borrowing plan was first submitted to the National Assembly on the 27th of May, but was delayed due to the legislative recess and documentation issues from the Debt Management Office. Chairman of the Senate Committee on Appropriations, Senator Olamilekan Adiola, stated that most of the loan requests had already been captured in the medium-term expenditure framework and the 2025 budget. Senator Sani Musa clarified that the disbursement of the loans would span 6 years, not just 2025. Well, staying with the Red Chamber, the Senate has announced plans to hold a special session in honor of the late former President Muhammadu Buhari. Senate President Godswill Akpabio made the announcement during plenary, stating that the session will take place on Wednesday. He noted that the tribute will reflect on Buhari's legacy and his contributions to national development following his recent passing. Well, we move to the Green Chamber now, where the House of Representatives has called on the United States government to reinstate the 5-year multiple entry visa regime for Nigerians, which was previously reduced to a 3-month visa under the Trump administration. The resolution followed the adoption of a motion of urgent public importance sponsored by Mohammed Mukhtar and 4 others during plenary. Titled Motion on the Urgent Need for the United States to Review its Visa Policy in Light of the Nigeria-U.S. Strategic Partnership, the lawmakers urged a united stance by the House to demand a reversal of the current visa policy. They noted that the 3-month single-entry visa imposes significant consequences, ranging from business disruptions and academic setbacks to challenges for families and the Nigerian diaspora. The House also directed the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to engage the U.S. government diplomatically to prevent further strain on bilateral relations and to uphold the dignity and mobility of Nigerian citizens. Well, in another development, Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan has vowed to consult with her legal team to initiate action at the appellate court after being denied access to the National Assembly despite a valid court order directing her reinstatement. The senator, who was suspended for 6 months earlier this year, had planned to resume legislative duties following a ruling by Justice Binta Nyako of the Federal High Court, which nullified her suspension. However, upon arrival at the National Assembly complex, she was barred from entering by security personnel. Speaking to newsmen after the incident, Akpoti-Oduaghan condemned the action, describing it as a contempt of court by the Senate under President Godswill Akpabio. Well, still in the news, former Vice President Atiku has responded to a recent warning by Edo State Governor Monday Okpebholo'S, saying any threat to Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi is a threat to all Nigerians. Atiku made the statement in a tweet days after Governor Okpebholo'S declared that Obi must obtain security clearance before visiting Edo State. The governor's comment made during the defection of federal lawmaker Marcus Onobun to the All Progressives Congress has drawn widespread criticism from opposition politicians and members of the public. Earlier in July, Peter Obi visited St. Philomena Hospital School of Nursing Sciences in Benin City, where he donated 15 million naira to support a school project. Governor Okpebholo'S later claimed that Obi's visit coincided with renewed violence in the state, a comment many have interpreted as an attempt to intimidate or restrict opposition figures from freely engaging in the state. Meanwhile, Edo State Governor Monday Okpebholo'S says former Anambra Governor and Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi must notify him before visiting Edo State. Speaking in Benin City during the commissioning of the new Edo Line Transport Company, Governor Okpebholo'S clarified that his position is not a threat, but a security precaution aimed at safeguarding lives in the state, including those of visitors. He emphasized that as the Chief Security Officer of Edo State, it is his duty to ensure safety and maintain order, regardless of political affiliations or personalities involved. Well, joining us virtually to make more sense of these stories is Babatunde Awe, a legal practitioner. You're welcome. Babatunde, can you unmute your device so that we can hear you clearly? Can you hear me? All right, why don't we take a short break and then we'll fix this and come back. Stay with us.
Truth is the ultimate power, and opinions scream the loudest. It's time to wade through the noise.
Hunger no get tribe! Hunger no get religion!
And scan the human interest in trending topics that matter. Stay tuned to The Issues, your plug to the stories making the buzz, from politics to science and technology, social justice, and more. Let's tackle the tough questions and expose the truth. The Issues on Voice of the People Television. Don't just react, understand. Good morning. It's the start of a beautiful day. Well, start your day right with a healthy dose of news, fun, and inspiration. Join us on VOP this morning for the latest news, trending topics, and uplifting stories to set your day on the right vibe. From news and current events to lifestyle and entertainment, you are covered.
VOP This Morning, 8 a.m., Monday through Friday.
Hey guys, what's going on? Olumide Oru, the Fresh Prince of Lagos here, and this is VOP TV, guys.
Hello guys, I want you to please keep on watching VOP TV. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Atiku.
Welcome back, everyone. We're doing our best to reconnect with Babatunde Awe, analyst for tonight, and we do hope we get to reconnect with him. In the meantime, though, Judith Amechi, wife of former Rivers State Governor and former Minister of Transportation Rotimi Amechi, has denied allegations by the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, that she received 4 billion naira monthly from the Niger Delta Development Commission for empowerment programs. In a statement issued by her media aide, DK Bekwele, Amechi described the claims as baseless, false, politically motivated, and intended to tarnish her reputation. Wike had made the allegation during a recent live television appearance, claiming that Amechi received 4 billion naira monthly from the NDDC and mismanaged the funds. Now, the federal government says all school-based senior school certificate examinations will be conducted using computer-based test centers starting next year. Education Minister Tunji Alausa made the announcement after monitoring a pilot CBT SSC CE organized by the National Examinations Council at Saskon International School in Maitama, Abuja. Alausa commended NECO for the smooth conduct of the pilot phase and confirmed that future SSCEs will no longer be held within schools, but at designated CBT centers, both privately owned and those within public institutions. And now the Edo State Cybersecurity Summit held at the John Oyebo Hub in Benin City brought together key stakeholders to address the growing challenges of online safety. Organized by the State Ministry of Science and Technology, the event emphasized the need for collective action and education to combat cyber threats and protect the digital space. VPTV correspondent Rhoda Johnny has more.
Cybersecurity Summit held at John Oyebo Hub in Benin City focused on promoting online safety and collective responsibility. Organized by the State Ministry of Science and Technology, the event brought together officials, educators, and experts to address cyber threats and increase digital awareness. Key discussions highlighted issues such as cyberbullying, identity theft, and the importance of integrating cybersecurity education into schools. A panel session explored digital literacy and youth engagement.
The only free man is that man who has the ability to choose his own slavery. Any man that says, I want to be entirely free, I'm not a slave, if you check properly, in a short while they will self-destruct. So the world is a guided place.
You locked your phone, right?
Yes.
Your phone has password?
Yes.
What if I can tell you that you're the most exposed person on earth? Would you believe me? How? Yeah, some of the apps you have has the ability to read your login details into your bank apps. Some of the apps you have, right, your phone right now can be taking pictures of you. Hackers can easily do. That's very easy to do. Okay, I wish we could have some practical sessions so you see that. Maybe you throw your phone away. You now understand why some people like to carry torchlights.
While the keynote speaker emphasized structured initiatives and the media's role in raising awareness.
The internet has transformed how we learn, work, heal, and connect, breaking barriers of distance and inequality.
The interviews all sent a clear message. To effectively combat cyber threats, we need stronger collaboration between government, educators, the private sector, and the community.
The purpose of this event is to create cybersecurity awareness. As we all know that we're beginning to move online, especially when it comes to our online presence is beginning to become increasing, and also our digital asset and participation online is becoming increasing.
And for everything that is so lucrative, so enticing, so beautiful, you have the bad guys. As you're building, you also have some destructive people.
Safety on cybersecurity. Why are we doing this at this point? Because every one of us are now become vulnerable. We become vulnerable because many young people work remotely.
Cybercrime is on the high. Most of us today, our lives are online. Social media, we do business, everything we do is online right now. So we need to learn online safety and security.
Cybersecurity, it's a collective responsibility. It's not limited to just a department alone. And cyber hygiene is key.
Raising awareness through continuous education and collective effort is essential to secure our online space. The summit concluded the calls for ongoing partnership and shared commitment to protecting Nigeria's digital future. In Benin, Rhoda Johnny, VOP TV News.
Well, joining us virtually to make more sense of these stories is Babatunde, our a legal practitioner. Babatunde, I'm so glad we were able to reconnect. Thank you for joining us on NISA today.
I'm so sorry. Good evening.
No, it's no problem
to be
at
here
all.
with you.
Yes, thank you so much. So just for starters though, right, and for context, the Central Bank of Nigeria has once again retained its key lending rate, the monetary policy rate at 27.5%. Now, CBN Governor Yemi Cardoso announced the decision in Abuja following the 301st meeting of the Monetary Policy Committee. Now, so that this is not just gibberish to the man on the street or the woman in the market or the man in the beer parlor, could you walk us through, could you walk us through what this really means to the average Nigerian?
Well, basically, this money policy committee and its a decision to hold rates, lower rates or increase rates, it's just basically a tool for managing inflation. The CBN governor and they look at the numbers, they look at the indices, they look at the variables, and determine whether what holding the rates or increasing the rates or reducing the rates will benefit the economy in to stabilize the economy. Basically, it's about lending. If people are more able to borrow, the economy grows faster, right? So if you raise the rates, borrowing comes down, there's slower growth. So basically, I think they've looked at it. They've seen that the important that they maintain the rates, given the kind of results that the economy has performed at so far, and have decided that look, let's hold the rates, not increase it anymore. When inflation is very high, they increase the rates. You understand?
Yeah, absolutely.
All that.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Very well said. Thank you so much. So personally for you, are you impressed with what the regulator, the CBN, is doing? And add that to the fact that the president has said, his economic policy is going to yield fruit long term. Yeah. So basically, are you impressed so far?
Well, I'll say there's some measure of consistency. I would say I'm impressed, because we have a lot of conflicting economic feelers. So it's very difficult to say that I'm impressed. But I'll say that at least for whatever it's worth, they seem to have been better following the trend of issues and have taken this decision in light of the kind of figures that they have at their disposal to make the decision that they just made.
All right. So if I hear you clearly, you are not just going to say you are impressed, but you are seeing some level of consistency. That's what you're saying, basically.
I'll say there is consistency.
All right. That's a safe place for us to land. Let's talk, talk about what's also trending right now. Yeah. The Senate has approved President Bola Tinubu's external borrowing plan of wait for it, $21 billion for the 2025-2026 fiscal cycle. Right, paving the way now for full implementation of the 2025 Appropriation Act. Now, the comprehensive borrowing package includes $21.19 billion in direct foreign loans, 4 billion euros, 15 billion yen, a $65 million grant, and domestic borrowing through government bonds, totaling approximately 757 billion naira. It's mind-boggling, yeah? But how does this make you feel, basically?
Well, it gives cause for worry. Imagine if you live with your parents, and then your parents are aged, and then they just continue to borrow and borrow and borrow and borrow. So essentially, of course, governments will borrow, We've been borrowing almost all our life as a nation, and almost every other country on earth does borrow, But the thing is, what kind of performance indicators are there for the amounts that have already been borrowed? Right? We say we've saved so much from subsidy removal, we've saved so much from managing XYZ part of the economy. So where is that money? Why is it not translating to lower borrowing? You understand? Why should we continue to have even higher and higher and higher levels of borrowing, repeated borrowings? So what are we doing really? If you are managing so well, you shouldn't be borrowing so much. So I'm concerned about the continued borrowing. Nigerians, of course, will continue to be alarmed at the rate Mr. Buhari borrowed excessively while he was in office, and the pattern of borrowing has apparently continued, with the Mr. Tinubu here now. So I'm concerned, really. I'll say, because
there's a question.
Where are all the monies we've recovered? Where are all the monies we've saved from? What's happening to all that?
That's a good question, right? And it's been asked over and over again. You said, what are the performance indices, right? So you removed subsidy. Where are the monies you've saved? Now, when when the federal government was asked this not too long ago, one of the things it said was to improve infrastructure and build roads. Are you satisfied with that answer, really?
Well, naturally, infrastructure investments are very, very, very highly capital intensive. Especially when you come to roads and all that. You get my point. But you see, again, we still have to go back to the table and say, look, most of these roads had monies voted for them at some point or the other. What happened to those monies?
Yeah.
What happened to those infrastructure projects? Where are all the abandoned projects? We start new projects. We don't pay attention to the existing projects. For instance, now one of the major criticisms that I have had with this government is the so-called coastal road. We have a lot of roads that are in abysmal state. I travel a lot by road in Nigeria. I travel a lot by road, and our roads are in an abysmal state. Abysmal, I tell you. And anybody who travels by road will tell you the same thing. So why are we not sorting those out? Why are we not prioritizing those ones that are in existence? Why are we not prioritizing finishing what we have on ground, before starting another one? You have a child, the things are tough in the house. You have a child, you give him a bowl of pap, he doesn't finish it, he's jumping to a bowl of rice, he doesn't finish it, he's jumping to a bowl of fufu. It's a little confusing what, the strategy here is. You want to do long-term projects, you want to do massive projects, you want to do development, yes. But how about putting things in order first? What are the major infrastructural things that we should be looking at? Our cities are congested. We're having a lot of problems with accommodation. Why are we not focusing a lot of energies there?
That's another good question.
Exactly. The transportation infrastructure. We focus so much on roads. What of the rails? For instance, I keep saying, if, for instance, to rent a property in my village will cost about a 3-bedroom flat in my village will cost about, say, 150,000 naira.
You want to tell us where your village is?
Arigidi Akoko in Ondo State. It will cost about 150,000 naira, maybe even less. Now, if there was a speed train from Arigidi or even Akure, I take an hour and a half drive to Akure. At 6 o'clock, I get there at 7:30. I take the 7:30 speed train to Lagos. And then at 4 o'clock, I hop on the speed train and I go back home. Why do I have to go and pay several millions of naira to rent a property in Ikeja or Lekki Phase 1 or some other place when I have my own house in the village or cheaper alternative accommodation? So you decongest the cities. That was what happened in China. China is a very large country, very large landmass. And they didn't want to focus attention on cities alone. So they decided to create infrastructural arrangements for connecting the cities together. So you don't have to go to and live, for instance, in Shanghai, when you can stay in your village and you have exactly the same kind of facilities you have there.
So what I hear you say is that employ these measures you just reeled out, and you will fix the issue of population explosion, and you will fix the issue of rural-urban migration.
Development.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yes, I mean, at my village, definitely I'll have to patronize the food sellers in my village. I'll have to patronize the guys that sell batteries, the guys that sell computers, the guys that sell stuff. So the economy of my village will grow, and the village of every other person. You are closer to your roots. The issues of development in those rural areas will be more attention will focus on them. So we are just, I don't think we really understand what we want to do as a nation. And I think our leaders, yes, they may have good intentions, but they say the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So we really need to very carefully have a plan. We are like a boat that is adrift. Oh, now here's a paddle. Oh, there is some shore across. Let's just paddle ourselves to shore. Then we'll find out what we'll do next.
All right.
That's what it looks like to me. So
I think
this borrowing, we really need to cut it down, shut it down, and do something else.
That's a safe place for us to land on that particular matter. One of the other things I'd like for us to discuss before we let you go is a comeback, really spectacular one, or attempted comeback by the suspended Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, who has vowed to consult with her legal team, to initiate action at the appellate court after being denied access to the National Assembly, despite a valid court order directing her reinstatement. Now, this is your forte. It's a good thing you are a legal practitioner. Walk us through this. What exactly is happening, really?
Well, it's a national embarrassment, I tell you. It's a national embarrassment. The lengths that people will go to repress the cause of justice. You understand? With the greatest respect, I think what happened was just a major embarrassment to democracy and an insult to our courts. Now, let's balance it out somewhat. Mrs. Akpoti-Uduaghan got judgment in the matter where the court had said that the suspension of Uduaghan was unnecessarily, unreasonably long. It's excessive, it's oppressive. Now, when you say something is excessive and oppressive, that means you should not have done it in the first instance. Not so. So it doesn't need too much interpretation. What you have done is not right. So if you have done something that is not right, like there's a popular decision of a court I refer to a lot. The ratio in that decision was that what is void is void. It doesn't even need a court order to set it aside. It's void ab initio. It's like, it's nothing. It's never even existed. So the suspension of Uduaghan for that long is definitely not legitimate and should not have been in the first instance. And the court has pronounced on it. So naturally, she should resume her seat. Now,
I'm so sorry.
Protocols.
I'm so sorry.
Yes.
I have to come in. But I think we'll have to bring you back in for you to talk about the protocols. I'm sure you're going to say there are protocols for her to follow in order to return. Because this is a very...
Not necessarily.
Okay. If you could land in 30 seconds with this.
That wasn't really my point.
Oh, okay.
Okay, excellent. So I wanted to just balance it. I've spoken about her rights. Now, the Senate have their own rights as well. The decision has been given that does not favor them. They have appealed. Now, what Mrs. Uduaghan should have done very early, I don't know if she has done it on her legal team, which is a very competent one, may have, is to have filed what we call a cross appeal to seek to affirm the judgment, even on other terms other than my Lord Honorable Justice Nyako found for ruling in our favor. So the options are just a little dicey. There are legal issues, and if you don't look at the legal issues deeply, you might lose the meat of the conversation.
Very well said. But what I hear you say basically is that the Senate has erred on this one. That's what you're saying, right?
I think they did. I think they did.
You've been brilliant,
I think they did.
Babatunde. Thank you so much for joining us on News. We do hope to have you back again.
Very happy to come back anytime.
All right. Thank you. So I have been speaking with Babatunde, where he is a legal practitioner. You're still watching News Hour on VOP TV. More stories after this short break. Stay with us. Welcome back, everyone. So the Radio, Television, Theatre and Arts Workers Union of Nigeria has elected a new national executive to steer the affairs of the union for the next 4 years. Emeka Kalu of the Anambra Broadcasting Service emerged as the new national president. The election took place during the just concluded 7th Quadrennial National Delegates Conference held in Gombe State. Kalu secured a total of 276 votes, defeating Okpebholo'S, who polled 141 votes, Dari Durosimi, who had 126 votes, and Jasper Falaye, who got 5 votes. Well, coming up next, foreign, business, sports and entertainment stories after this short break. Stay with us. Now, Gaza's Hamas-run health ministry says 33 people, including 12 children, have died from malnutrition in the past 48 hours. The development comes as the United Nations warns that Gaza's last humanitarian lifelines are collapsing, with conditions deteriorating rapidly amid Israel's ongoing offensive. Meanwhile, the World Health Organization says its operations in central Gaza have been severely affected by Israel's renewed ground of offensive following attacks on its facilities. And still in the Middle East, Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan says any attempt by any group to divide or destabilize Syria will be considered a direct threat to Turkey's national security and will prompt intervention from Ankara. In a veiled warning to Israel, Fidan said Turkey is open to dialogue and meeting the demands of various groups as long as those demands do not involve the division of Syria. Anything beyond that, he said, would not be tolerated. Speaking at a joint news conference with his Salvadorian counterpart, Alexandra Hill, in Ankara, Fidan accused Israel of pursuing a policy aimed at weakening the region and keeping it in a state of chaos. Away from that report, Iran's Deputy Foreign Minister Kazim Garibabadi has warned that reimposing international sanctions on the country would further complicate the situation surrounding its nuclear program. Garibabadi made the remarks ahead of a scheduled meeting on Friday with representatives of the E3, Britain, France, and Germany. The E3 had indicated that if no progress is made on Iran's nuclear program by the end of August, they will trigger the snapback mechanism, a process that will lead to the reimposition of UN sanctions on Tehran. Well, business news is next. The Nigeria Civil Aviation Authority has directed all international airlines flying into the country to enforce the $10,000 currency declaration rule for inbound passengers. The rule requires passengers to declare any cash or negotiable instruments exceeding $10,000 as part of efforts to strengthen compliance with anti-money laundering regulations. According to the NCAA, the directive aims to close gaps in the enforcement of existing currency declaration obligations. The announcement was made by the Director of Public Affairs and Consumer Protection, Michael Achimugu, in a post on X. Now, the Lagos chapter of the Poultry Association of Nigeria says it is taking steps to reduce soaring egg prices by cutting out middlemen and selling directly to consumers. Chairman of the association, Mujidi Yola, said PAN is working with local governments across the state to set up direct-to-consumer sales points, an initiative that could lower the retail price of a crate of eggs by as much as 1,000 naira. According to Yola, eliminating intermediaries will not only make poultry products more affordable for the public, but also help farmers earn their fairer returns on their investment. Added that the move is aimed at easing the impact of food inflation on Lagos residents. Well, it's time now for sports news.
And now to some sports on the news hour with me, Jerry Okpebholo'S. The Super Falcons of Nigeria have qualified for the final of the 2024 Women's African Cup of Nations WAFCON after defeating South Africa 2-1 in the semi-finals. Rasheedat Ajibade scored the opening goal from a penalty in the 45th minute, while Michelle Alozie sealed the win with a stunning free kick in the 90th minute. This victory sets up a potential rematch against Ghana or Morocco in the final. The win is a testament to the team's determination and skill, and its sweet revenge for the Super Falcons, who were beaten by South Africa in the group stage of WAFCON 2022. With this victory, Nigeria is one step closer to winning a record-extending 10th WAFCON title. The Super Falcons' journey has been impressive, and their upcoming match at the final will be highly anticipated. The team's performance has garnered attention and support from fans, and the chances of winning the tournament are looking promising. In a related development, former Super Falcons captain Onome Ebi has praised Ashley Plumtree, describing her as a worthy successor in the team. Ebi, who wore the number 5 jersey for 20 years, expressed her admiration for Plumtree, who has inherited the same number. Obi commended Plumtree's energy, discipline, consistency, and dedication, stating that the legacy of the number 5 jersey continues. Plumtree has been an integral part of the Super Falcons squad, including the 2022 Women's African Cup of Nations and the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup. Ebi's praise for Plumtree is a testament to the young player's skills and potential, and it's clear that Plumtree is being seen as a key player for the Super Falcons' future. And now to the Big Brothers, where Super Eagles coach Eric Charles has revealed his preference for a 20-man squad for the upcoming World Cup qualifiers. Charles believes a smaller squad will allow him to get to know the players better and pass his message more effectively. The coach is set to lead the Super Eagles in the crucial World Cup qualifier match against Rwanda and South Africa. Charles' tactical approach includes a 4-4-2 diamond formation, which he believes provides numerical superiority in midfield and allows for flexibility. Charles' preferred formation features 2 strikers and a flat 4-4-2 that can transform into a 4-2-4 when in possession of the ball. With a clear tactical vision, Charles is expected to guide the Super Eagles to success in the upcoming matches. That's it for Sport News on the News Hour with me, Jerry Okpebholo'S. Over now to more on the News Hour.
Thank you, Jerry. Entertainment news is next.
Welcome to the entertainment segment. Music streaming giant Spotify has unveiled the top 30 Nigerian songs with the highest global streams in the first half of 2025. The list featured tracks by Nigerian artists and collaborations featuring Nigerian talent and racked up the most streamed outside the country. Davido dominated the chart with 9 songs from his latest album 5, making the cut. Burna Boy followed closely with 5 entries on the list. However, it was Rema who claimed the top stop with Baby, Is It a Crime? Charlie Puppy's Lahore came in second, with Davido's With You featuring Omale ranked third. Sheila's My Darling and Burna Boy's Ta 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 featuring Travis Scott took the 4th and 5th spot respectively. Frina and Charlie Puppy's Zazaza, Coach Plays We Pray featuring Burna Boy, Burna Boy's Update, Charlie Puppy's Lahore second featuring Burna Boy, and Davido's Be There still complete the top 10. Moving on the entertainment segment, former reality TV star Munirat Lekki has been appointed Senior Special Assistant on Tourism and Creative Economy by Edo State Governor Monday Okpebholo. The appointment was confirmed in a letter signed by Umar Musa Ikolo, Secretary to the State Government, and took effect on June 23, 2025. Lekki, a media personality and actress, is expected to help drive the state's efforts to revitalize its tourism and creative industries. Her role includes promoting Edo cultural heritage through initiatives like the return of looted Bini bronze and the development of new museum projects. She also confirmed the appointment on Instagram, thanking Governor Okpebholo for the opportunity to serve in his administration. Lekki currently holds another government role as Special Assistant on Digital and New Media to the Minister of Steel Development and Shaibu Ado. Elsewhere in entertainment, Makon Jamal Woma, the American singer and actor best known for his role as Theodore Huxtable on The Cosby Show, has passed away. The 54-year-old was vacationing with his family on Costa Rica, Caribbean coast when he accidentally drowned. Born in New Jersey, Woma began his acting career at the age of 9, appearing in shows such as Fame. He rose to national prominences as a teenager when he was cast as Theo, the only son of Heathcliff and Claire Huxtable, played by Bill Cosby and Cecilia Rashad on The Cosby Show. Woma was nominated for a Primetime Emmy in 1986 for his supporting role, and in 2015 he won a Grammy Award for Best Tradition R&B Performance. Throughout his career, he remained active in television, music, and directing, leaving a lasting legacy in the entertainment industry. And that's it on the entertainment segment. I'm Oyindamola Olukutan. Thanks for watching.
Thank you, Oyi. That does it for us on News Hour. But before we go, though, a quick look at the headlines. We told you that the CBN has maintained the lending rate at 27.5%. Also, President Tinubu holds talks with economic team. Senate approves Tinubu's $21 billion foreign loan, and reps urge U.S. to restore 5-year multiple visa. Natasha to meet legal team and seek court clarification after Atiku condemns Okpebholo'S threat to Obi. On the foreign scene, we told you that 33 have died of malnutrition in Gaza in 48 hours. Well, in business news, NCAA orders airlines to enforce $10,000 cash declaration. In sports news, Nigeria beats South Africa 2-1 in WAFCON semifinals. In the world of entertainment, Davido tops Spotify's mid-year Nigerian chart. Do well to subscribe to our YouTube channel. On YouTube, we are Voice of the People TV. On other social media platforms, we are at VOP TV Live. I am Vivian Oguche. Thank you for watching.